I decided after reading the book Codename Blue Wren that I'm going to start giving y'all a little bit better picture when it comes to how we're infiltrated by people that are spying for Cuba. Now, mind you, the I'm not talking about the folks that come up here to escape Cuba. I'm talking about people that are aligning themselves with Cuba. In this country, we have a strong underground Marxist group groupings. There are multiple groups. They're aligned with the form of communism, well, Marxism, that is in Cuba. And a lot of people seem to believe that Cuba is this island. What's the right term? It's a paradise of Marxism. Now, that's not the case if you talk to the folks that have left there, that were born there, that left there because, well, it isn't a paradise. But we have people like Anna Montez, who was born here in the United States. Well, she was born in Germany, but she was raised here in the United States. Her father was in the army. Got to enjoy all these freedoms and everything, yet she spied for Cuba, not for money, but for ideology. So let's get into a little bit more of this.
Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself.
One of the reasons why I talk about modern liberalism versus classic liberalism is because they are two distinct philosophies. Yes, there are some hints of classic liberalism in modern liberalism, but there is a whole lot of Marxism that has been poured into modern liberalism. And then you get to looking at these groups that are preaching constant revolution, the Marxist folks that are preaching constant revolution. Yes, those groups are here in America. Yes, those groups are thriving. You take a look at the Antifa folks, you take a look at the riots that are going on in, well, so many different cities over the ICE raids. Those groups are fueled by the Marxist groups that are aligned with Cuba. And as such, they've got people that are working to infiltrate the government. Our government, the bureaucrats within our government, became so aligned with the left side of the political spectrum that they basically became part of the Democrat Party. As you've seen, anybody with common sense realizes that the government was fueled by the Democrat Party. Even when we had Republicans in office, the Democrat ideology is what's fueled this government. Well, this allowed for our education to get taken over by people who are extremist. Uh, I don't even have to go into anybody who's well aware knows that our modern education system has been taken over by the far left. And this has fueled the ability for people to get degrees, but also for groups to infiltrate our education system, such as the Chinese, but those that are aligned with Cuba. And it's not that difficult. People underestimate Cuba, as was shown in Operation Blue Wren, or Codename Blue Wren, pardon me, where these people that recruit for the Chinese intelligence service, they go into these areas and they find the folks that have the best potential to get into the government via getting their college degree, and they sit there and they convince them that Cuba is this paradise that is needing their help. And it be not for money, but for ideology. These people start spying for Cuba. And that's not a good thing. We have to start realizing that our country has got a problem when it comes to different ideologies competing and us allowing certain people to have power in this country. Anna Montez proved that. She was a leftist, and she, I don't know whether, as the book says in her biography, that it was because she was trying to prove how far left she became, or she just really had that kind of personality. At the end of the day, she was able to infiltrate one of our 17, which is too many, intelligence services, and she became quite literally known as the Queen of Cuba. Now, you also take a look at the person that recruited her, Marta Velazquez. Marta Velazquez was born in Puerto Rico, uh, got to have everything as an American because she was an American, and she was able to recruit for Cuba somebody that went that high up. And then Marta Velasquez went into U.S. aid and the State Department, intermingled with both, and spied for Cuba that way. You see how these two, who had high clearances, had access to a lot of information, were able to infiltrate, but they were also able to utilize recruitment via the education system. Velasquez recruited Montez, and Montez then went on and did what she did. Velasquez got to escape punishment, unfortunately. Worst thing that happened to her was she didn't get to go to her own father's funeral, but she's able to travel the world even though she's indicted and the U.S. wants her so that she can stand trial. I would love for this to have been something that we've taken care of, but Velazquez gets to live the life of the rich while praising socialism and Marxism and all the evils of that. But it's our education system that is the spawning ground for this. They allow for all kinds of Marxist groups to grow and percolate because the professors that are at these schools preach a very hateful, a very evil doctrine, which is Marxism. And you hear these people come out of there and they're spouting Marxist idealism. And that's what people with a classically liberal ideology get turned into a modern ideology, because that's where they're learning to combine Marxism and liberalism. And that's where you get what we have today. And this is where Cuba is utilizing. with spending less money than others, they're utilizing this as a recruitment ground to have people that are going to be moving into areas where they can access information, or they will know people that have access to the information. And with barely having to pay anything, they're able to get this information and they're selling it. They're using it, but they're also selling it to our enemies. This is what's going on, and you need to pay attention to it. Now, we have a problem in this country where nobody thinks of Cuba. Really, that's what's going on. Nobody thinks of Cuba. They're too busy worried about so many other things. And okay, that's easily understood, but Cuba utilizes the U.S. in a way to gather intelligence and then they can sell that information. So we become their factory, their economic initiative. So using that, they grab up all the information they can by using folks who are indoctrinated in this liberal ideology and using this liberal ideology, they don't have to pay much, as I've said, and selling it to our enemies. We have to realize that I had to say that again. I said it again for the simple fact of that people need to realize that's what's going on. And so I am going to, over the next few weeks, I'm going to be looking into different things for you. I'm going to make videos on different people, different issues where Cuba has been infiltrating the U.S. government. And I'm going to cover Marta Velazquez next. I covered the book Codename Blue Wren. There are other things that have caught my attention, and so I'm going to make sure that you know how Cuba has done all of this. And it's going to sound wild, but you need to know what's going on, and this way we're better informed as we're getting infiltrated and our information's getting sold to our enemies and being used to fuel the Cuban government. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. I want y'all to hit like and subscribe for me. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. So, folks, that's the story that I wanted to bring you on this video. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming by. Hit like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff if you don't mind. Help me out. So, y'all have a good day now. Bye.